Hello. It's so weird to go live and then have people just be on. That's interesting. It's a different animal. All right, so I'm also using a different holder for the phone, so it could have a little bit of bounce to it. It's like one of those arms. But it's one I want to test out for later.
At Steel Series, we solve problems, not climate change level problems.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Hello, Finn Godwolf, Rachel Powell, Line Cook Thor, Caitlin Longberry, Micro Halloween, Misty Jazierski, Bridget the Wench, Larry Hughes, Stanley S., Robert White, Hugo Cordier, Lete, I don't know. Hugo, Susan the Tide, Line Cook Thor, Living on the Bluff, Micro Halloween, Michelle Schulte, Stevenson Metal, Fundian, Warmonger, John C., Sparrow's Cave, Ross Reichert, and, well, that's also Fundian. All right, so, when last we left our werewolf's foot, I was making a mold. You'd think in all that time that Monster Day was on, I would have, like, cleaned up my table and stuff. No, I was cleaning out the Leech Lord mold and getting that sucker ready to go. Courtney, you do make stuff. You had like all these apparatus and poles and tarps. You had a lot of stuff going on. What did you make? Linda Forbes, Poison Sumac, Jerry Collins, Rodney Pope, Paul. Hello, Paul Bennett, and Glenn McCain. Yesterday I kind of snuck on, and me and Glenn were hanging out alone for like an hour. Good times. Okay, when you see me throw water bottles like down on the ground like that, I'm not being a slob. My dogs like to play with them and chew on them. So, doesn't mean I'm not being a slob. It just means that in this instance, there's a free zone for... This is like a bendable arm. And it's kind of neat. I want it for some of the... Well, I want a camera on the table, and when I don't know what happened, but I'm back. Hello. Okay. What I want this for is this holder. It's for on the table when I'm sculpting, because I want to do better sped up sculpting videos and painting videos. And I think this little holder will do it. It's just you're so far away with the tripod. I think that's an issue. So, this werewolf foot is a 3-piece mold. And today, we're going to knock out the second and third pieces of the mold. We'll see. My intention was to start earlier, and then I would have knocked out both pieces. Now I might only knock out one of the pieces. Let's see how it goes. And I just want to make sure that these comments are still going. Because I did have a weird blip. Kenny P, Rob O'Brien, Josh Newman. Oh, Jordan said hi, therefore I know it works. And I just scraped off this part of the table so I can move this down a bit. Hello, wife.
Do you want me over there?
Doesn't matter where you are.
Well, I want me over.
Okay. But now you'll have a better view because I'm a little further away. Nightmare Fox Project. That is so intriguing. I did watch, you know what? I did watch the ghost video, and let me look over here real quick because ghost video. It was our video here. Now, honestly, I don't have it. I know what fell. It was this spray paint can is what fell off. I don't know what fell from the sky and hit it. I don't know that because there's nothing weird over here that used to be up on that shelf. So, and nothing was on the ground yesterday. I don't know. I honestly, I'm a little stumped. I don't know what that was. My wife is here now for commentios. Yes, digigrade silk will be inside of these feet, Jordan.
I did not get notification.
Hugo says hello. Did you guys get notifications today?
I did not get one.
To me, it looked like it fell straight down. And there was a gray cup-like object up there that, in like, Stacy showed a previous shot, and then that gray cup-like object I don't see. So maybe that's what fell, but then it disappeared. No, yep, okay. Some people got notifications and some did not. YouTube app, no email.
Susan said you should not get one. She got it from the app. I got one from the app, but I did not get one from email like I usually do. Okay, yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, all that's over to the left is just like a corner. So it's not like there's no door or anything. And I had left by then. Trust me, I was running in order to get all that done.
Is there a way to mix the paint you use to paint masks and casting latex for a mask in a certain color you want?
Yes, there's a way to do that. Unfortunately, as soon as you add color into the latex, it's not latex and you're going to hurt the stretch of it. So I don't like to do it, but if you're not worried about your latex mask having a lot of stretch, then you can do that. I don't recommend it simply because I want pure latex that I then paint, as opposed to hurting the structural integrity of the latex. I think Monster Makers even sells already black latex. I just don't like it. I would rather do it myself.
Hey Courtney, Monster Can 3. Instead of yard hot serving, she goes. Robert White said, "What fell down should be on the bench. It didn't fall on the floor."
Yes, I saw that, but there's nothing on the bench.
That's what it says. I wonder if 1980 watched the Monster Day video. If so, are you going to be overwhelmed with puns and bad jokes?
I don't know. I didn't see 1980 on it. I saw Cobwebs. I saw Michelle Schulte. I saw a lot of folks, but I did not see Cobwebs on it.
Jay Lee says, Death Studios cast in black.
Yeah, people can. And Death Studios, they made really thick masks that did not have a lot of stretch. So, maybe not a negative for them.
Madeline, says, interesting, but not latex, but of course, these are helpful to experiment. And John C. says, some three-piece molds are twisted and asymmetrical. I never would have figured sending them out to different concrete and mold molds.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's you have to look at it and figure out if you pull a side of it off in this direction, then what will it destroy on its way out? And that's when you're talking about undercuts. Concrete molds, you have to be worried about undercuts a little bit. Now it's possible that your mold is latex and there's a jacket, but then outside of that jacket, you're still going to need a mold that is three-piece.
Jordan says, your latex is gray. What kind of pigment is it?
My latex is never gray. My latex is latex colored. until I base it out.
Tarantula says I use food coloring to make a sort of transparent skin for a homemade heart, but that doesn't need to stretch.
Correct.
Michael Lassner says 1980 doesn't need Ed's help for bad puns.
He does not.
That is so true.
1980 has a gift.
John C. says he saw you on the Monster Parade. Were you
Yes.
the man or the Yeti?
I was both in that video. I showed up in both costumes.
Nicholas Benford, there you are. Hi, been a while, currently in pre-production on a college werewolf movie, very low budget, in a suit. Any chance we can collaborate or moderate one of your previous designs? Thanks.
Yeah, that's quite possible. I actually have a lot of werewolf stuff kind of ready to go. So I don't know what you want. I mean, I would change the look up a little bit. You're talking paint job. I have some great hair suits. So I don't know if you're going full werewolf or just, head and hands like a standard wolfman. That'd be fun.
Jordan Bunsey says, I love seeing the stilt werewolf and the Yeti on the Monster Day video.
Thank you, sir.
Madeline says, I see you got the evening off the other night. Did you have fun? Yeah,
Yeah, I worked.
we
Yeah.
worked.
You'll note all the videos went up for the sculpting tools.
We did not stop working.
I have a black set of, that we did as a test before we did the official green ones.
Pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, we literally worked until about 11:30 p.m.
John C. says, Ed Edmonds says he uses 5,000 gallons of latex a year.
Yep, I believe him.
Rachel Powell says he showed up as just Alan in the crowd scene.
Oh, did I? That's great.
I bet it was the demo that he does, and they were showing the audience.
Yeah.
It's a fun day.
I love Monster
Yeah,
Day.
great time.
I'm definitely going back for sure.
Can you tell us about a large product that somehow malfunctioned? Any large product?
The Hubble Space Telescope.
Pretty sure that.
That was a pretty large project, and it didn't work for such a long time. What? My wife is giving me a look.
I'm just going to let you suffer.
A large project that malfunctioned. Well, the first silicone mask that I made, well, not a physically large project, it was an expensive project. My first silicone mask cost me about $2,000 to make because there's a lot to learn, and at that point in time, there was no info. I mean, now there's freaking instructional videos. At that time, there was nothing. I filled it up with latex, with silicone. I filled it with silicone, and I watched the silicone level just start to go down, and I'm like, where is it going? And on the other side of the table underneath, it had broken through the barrier underneath the mold. So all the silicone that I poured into the top was running out the back.
How much was that total?
That was,
How much that total cost?
before I stopped, about $160. I just pour it onto the table. And once it runs onto the table, you can't really put it back in the mold because all of my tables have seen so much latex, at that point it'll inhibit the cure and it'll never cure. So this mold is kind of a monster. This is a big boy, and it's a little complicated. But you don't get intimidated by it. You just do it.
Say hello to Corey Seymour.
Hello, Corey Seymour. That guy's awesome.
Hey, Ben. So do you think the mold for this werewolf leg will be okay since there were issues with it kicking really fast last night?
Oh yeah, the mold's gonna be fine. I have no doubt about that. Once that first batch went on and it went fast, I just knew this is a fast batch of plaster. And because, when I bring it in, there were 3 bags in that tub. If one of those bags is bad, it's kind of scattered all throughout. So not much I can do about it aside from use all that material and then clean it out.
Madeline says, I just saw your Monster Maker t-shirt. I should give that to a friend who just had another baby.
Oh, yeah, they're a monster maker too.
Tarantula says, I feel like I'm a large project that malfunctioned.
You ain't lying, you and me both.
Not stopping till I have 1,000 subs is the name of this account.
Okay, how many subs do you have?
What are you making a wolf foot for?
For werewolves that don't have feet. That is the charity that I support right now. People don't know that there's a lot of footless werewolves out there, and I just try to do my part to make sure that all those werewolves will have feet. It's for costumes. It's for werewolf costumes.
Roger Pope, I'm going to try my hand at painting another one of the skull masks. I just received all my pinata geeks.
Awesome. What colors did you get?
She's pulling that bag. And
That bag is garbage. It's fine.
It's putting the tripod.
Oh,
attached to
I'll
your
change
phone.
the tripod. Okay.
What are your thoughts on Grandma Club's makeup for the Medi Professor 2? I think it was downgrade from the first.
I don't, Jordan, I don't care. It's, I don't have great expectations of a Nutty Professor 2 movie. Makeup, if you can squint and in low light, you believe for a moment that Eddie Murphy is a fat grandma, then great. That's all it needs to do. They didn't need to hit like a super high bar with it because it's the character was established and all the work they did on the first one kind of carried over and it was fine. And I never watched it. I know the makeup you're referring to. I never watched it because I only watch movies with monsters or sword fighting. They have to have one of those two. The best movies have both, but if it doesn't have any monsters and it doesn't have any sword fighting, I have very little interest.
Is there anywhere I can get images of your previous wolves?
If you go onto Facebook, or no, go onto stiltbestudios.com, and there's some werewolf pictures there. No, but I've done a lot. I've done a lot of stuff. Or go to my channel and type werewolf in, and you'll see a lot of live videos where I'm making werewolves and all that kind of stuff. I have a moving jaw werewolf mask that's pretty nice, in my opinion.
Do you sculpt any keys in your mold walls for this project?
No, I did not do any keys in my mold walls for this project because, see this shape? Is it like an L shape? The fact that it's an L shape like that means that I don't have to make any keys. Whatever fits in here, this is the key. This is going to be the key that makes sure they hold together. Okay, that's going to be a little weird. I got to make sure I get everything down in there.
Bridget the Witch says, by those standards, The Princess Bride is the best movie, though it is by those standards.
It is. That's my favorite movie ever.
Rodney Cody says, Senorita Magenta, Mantilla Black, and Havana Brown and Silver are the colors he got.
Cool. Those are good colors.
Jordan says, will we ever get to see you make a mask with an electric motor in it?
I did a servo mask a while back. I did a mask with servos in it. And the next time I get to do one of my insects, I'm going to do servos in it. So yeah, you probably will. And what I'm doing now is there's just a little bit of a lip of material that went over the wall, and I'm just going to use a screwdriver to remove it.
Hello, Dan Miles. Says, when are you going to do the video of your updated yard angels?
Well, I was hoping for August, but I don't think that'll happen this August, September.
Hi, Connie says, Cheney is snooping around looking at what he can get.
Oh, you're right. He's looking for something he can eat. That is exactly correct.
Princess Bride heavily inspired my best friend's wedding. His best man actually quoted the priest for the movie on her speech.
Oh, that was painful, I bet.
And Harry Beastie says hello. Hello.
Hello, Harry Beastie in Scotland.
Jordan says, are your dogs still infants?
Well, they're not infants. Infant is a very specific word in developmental terms. I think my dogs are tweens. Cheney, listen. You're a big dog already. You're probably 85 pounds. And to have that bark at 85 pounds, it's just embarrassing. You should be more of a baritone dog. You should be like, woof, woof, woof. Okay, all my dogs just got up and headed towards the door like, what the hell's going on? It's okay, guys. It's okay. That was me. I was woofing. I was showing you. That high-pitched bark that you have, they're tweens. These are,
10 months.
they're 10 months old. So they're an adult at 2 years, I think, is right. 2 years.
Connie
So
says he's upset you didn't have anything for him to eat. They just ate,
they're
Connie.
tweens. Yeah, they just got done
had
eating.
dinner. Now they're all refreshed, crazy.
Boris is eating a cardboard box, Cheney. If you like Boris. And do I have to be this persnickety? Probably not. But I anticipate this project. I anticipate making quite a few of these. So I want a good mold to get many good copies out of it. So I'm just taking a little bit of extra time to clean this wall up.
Hey, Jamie, we got your email. Thanks for getting back. Can't wait to see him. He will take the original with lunch.
Oh, you want to see him right now? He's sitting over there, and I really like wearing that mask. I don't know why, but that mask kind of feels like the real me. Yeah, in a different way. Like, maybe in a past life I was a lizard monster. Well, he hasn't said if he wants to see it or not right now.
Okay, honey. Nobody wants to see a mask. Okay. He said yes, please.
If you ask a question, you gotta wait for the answer.
Looks like you need a rasp for that edge.
Oh, I could. My dogs just look at me. They're like, whatever. Okay. Back to work.
Have you ever wanted to be a monster hunter? Seriously.
There was a moment when I was outside of my old house in Mesquite, Texas, and I was working on making wooden stakes to sell at the Monster Museum, because we made wooden stakes and sold them as like a souvenir. And I had the thought while I was doing that if I were an actual monster maker, a great cover, or monster hunter, a great cover would be having a monster museum where I had to make things like that for the gift shop. And being a special effects artist, because if you were caught transporting a dead monster, then you could just say you made it.
So Kim Kennedy says, oh, it's cute. Yes, it's awesome. It turned out magnificent. He looks kind of quirky. I agree, it does look kind of quirky.
There might be another orky type paint job down the road.
Stanley says it's awesome. Finn Godwell says that it would be cool if we could still be shirt with Jonesy, like the picture of O'Brien posted on the
Noted. Okay.
Al Mantra, Jerry and I think that mask is great.
Thank you. I like it.
John C., isn't Magnus considered a monster hunter, or is Whiskey a hunter?
Magnus is a monster hunter. He is one of the partners in the Monster Museum. There's Daniel Raptis and Magnus Crane. Magnus Crane is one of the characters I play at the Renaissance Festival. And yes, he is the character that I made up to promote the Monster Museum. And yeah, so there.
Rachel says, I made this. It's definitely trying to bite me, but I made it.
Hooray. Yes, exactly. Yeah, as you're fighting with it and
Hello, Dave Crow.
trying to put it down.
You have 74 people watching.
Hello, 74 people. Well, I'm like Wilson the neighbor. All you can see is my eyes over top of the still. Hi ho, neighbor. Okay. Well, this may be more than a two-piece mold. More than a three-piece mold. Here is why, all right? I'll walk you through it. This mold wall right here angles up a little bit. Because, boy, here's the problem is, if this angles up, and then I put half of all of this in one half, then this has to be able to slide off this way, right? Well, if this is angled up, then there's a bit of rock in the way. So this should have been very, very flat. And this is one of those things that you don't notice until you're kind of in it. There are fixes for this, of course. I can do one piece of the mold here and cut it off at the knee, and then do. This will be a 4-piece mold.
What?
Because I'm going to cut it off at the knee, okay? All right? At the knee. And then this will be one piece down here. This is one more piece. So that's 2 pieces. 1, 2. And then this is broken in half. 3, 4. There you go. Same kind of thing. Very similar in design, except I had to add one piece in order to make up for a big undercut caused by the plaster mold itself.
Says I love all your work and your pets.
Hooray!
Hey, big dog.
I too love my pets, and a good chunk of my work.
Corey Seymour, can I see what the still looks like outside of the mold if you have one to show?
I do, yes. I think it's in the other room. Let me grab it. This is what the stilt looks like. So this is where their foot goes, and then this comes up, and their knee is up here. Their knee is up there, and then the that's my drink. This is what straps the foot in, and then there's a bar here that is support, and then this is actually like a fiberglass, and it is a spring. When you put weight on it, it goes under tension. and flexes. So that's the stilt.
Sparrow's Cave. I'm just wondering, why does latex smell so bad?
Because there's ammonia mixed in with it. Ammonia is what keeps it as a liquid and keeps it kind of from drying out. It helps extend its life. And ammonia smells like cat pee. Yeah, so on the werewolf, the foot is here, the ankle is here, and the knee is here. On the human, the toes are up here, and their knee is up here.
Isn't that the ankle, not the knee?
I believe I just covered that in what I said. No, I wasn't answering the question. I just happened to say it because it's a little confusing.
Michelle Shelby says, how do you sell those on site?
The jumping stilts, I don't have any on there right now, but I probably will have them here shortly.
Chauncey, is anything real in the Monster Museum or is it all fabricated? Like a real sword, real fur, real chain, jewelry?
Lots is real. The monsters are all fabricated because, well, I couldn't get a hold of any monsters. But like, there's some exhibits are made out of actual skulls of other animals, and Cheney, you're just barking for no reason. You must be part Pyrenees. Yes, there's lots of real swords in it because I collect swords, and now I use the Monster Museum as an excuse to buy them. And like the whole first room of it is about the heroes who do monster hunting and who caught all the monsters that are in the museum. So the first room you go into is like a weapons room. This is me pulling the pins out. Remember the pins that I used, the Q-tips, to hold the mold wall on? I'm pulling them out of this side now.
How do you plan to cover the parts sticking up out of the...
That'll be fur. That'll be fur.
Big Dog, I don't know. Big Dog says, I wanted to slap the Connor person through the computer. That's too expensive. Does he have anything cheap? He or she pisses me off.
Yes, that person was done.
Was that during the monster
Yes.
deadline feud?
Yep. Yep, there are people who are done.
He's flat out said something was too expensive.
Yeah.
Warmonger says that he gets a latex, or it could be a lady, gets a latex fetish as Halloween years. Okay.
We don't kink shame. You're good.
You're
Enjoy.
right. Rachel Bell
Enjoy
says,
privately to yourself, please.
So what you're saying is never bleach latex, at least in liquid form.
Never bleach it.
Never bleach latex, at least in liquid form. Rachel,
I don't know what you mean by that.
got a lot of threads going. What is that referring to? Is that referring to the color?
Yeah, leave latex colored, and then paint it after.
Hey, Barry Flanagan, hello.
Hey, Barry.
Sparrow's Cave. Well, unfortunately, I can't use it because I found out last year I'm allergic to it. The liquid latex is the only form of latex I'm allergic to. It's weird.
You might be allergic to ammonia. Try that. See if you're allergic to it. Don't drink it. Like, put some, take a dab of it and put it on the inside of your arm. And then, hold your arm closed for a little bit and see if that bothered you. Because there are some latexes that don't actually have ammonia in them.
Oh, I got you, Big Dog. Alan was watching it too, so he understood what you were talking about. Rodney Pope, I wish I was 10 years younger. I would love a werewolf still costume.
Well, I have a werewolf still costume, and we're roughly the same age, sir.
Alan, can you give the pups a chew toy, plastic bottle, or paper towel cardboard core? I love seeing them tear it up.
Well, then you're in luck, because right now,
The other two are being
Cheney, what you got? Cheney, come here, buddy. He just destroyed this box, and he was taking his prize elsewhere. They hate it when I go all whooshu on a psh, 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 psh. They can't bite the flat, so I just keep turning it because I'm mean. But yeah, they tear stuff up good. I was out of garbage bags anyway, so I didn't really need the box.
Bonnie says, told you we were looking for something. And Bonnie, they have a new toy. We brought them a new toy and they took it outside to tear it up. That's where the other two are. Okay, Corey Seymour, well, it's okay to boast. I just sold one of my masks this week to a documentary filmmaker who has a lot of documentaries out now. I can't say that he is working on them, but I'm excited. That's great, Corey.
That's awesome, bud. I'm glad to hear that.
Gregory Haynes says, Rodney, I'm 54 and I'm doing it. You can too. Yeah, guys, these are Gregory's stilts.
Yeah.
And Rodney, he's going to pick them up at Monster Camp, and you will be there too, so you'll get to see them. Hello, 1980. 1980 says the box will be for sale, $1,000 plus tax.
Oh no.
Gregory says, hi, I just got home from visiting Maine in-laws.
Wow.
Maine is beautiful.
Maine is beautiful. Okay, so let me grab a brush.
Michelle, yes, I will make that happen.
What are we making yet?
Doggo distressed ball caps. Guys, I don't know. I'm gonna take the ball caps, I'm gonna wash them.
Shannon does not understand that the dogs have given them value. She has such a hard time trying to sell something. She's like, but the dog chewed on it. Like they wanted that to happen.
But you're gonna let me wash it first.
Get on it, wife. Good, she's still sitting down. Yes.
78 people are watching.
If you can say get on it, wife, and your wife doesn't get up to hit you, that's good. She would also do it off camera. She's smart.
When are you doing another monster camp?
Wife, it's for you. Really, you should answer that.
Dorian, we are waiting to see the status of the state of Texas. The monster camp we have for September is the rescheduled May monster camp. So that is actually already full. So it is not a new monster camp. That is a rescheduled monster camp.
If there was a new monster
There
camp,
was a new monster camp.
when do you think it might be?
We're trying for one in October. Because I don't know that that's ever going to happen again. Or who knows what next year is going to be. We certainly never expected to not be at the haunt this October. So we're going to try for one in October. Hopefully things getting kind of back to some semblance of order or something we can manage. Then we'll try one soon after that. Maybe we're going to do some labs. We're definitely going to do a Krampus lab in November. Krampus lab is a one-day lab. We want to do an airbrush lab in October if possible. Airbrush lab would be 1 day, but Monster Camp's 3 days. So we're going to try to do one in October. That is not definite yet. We have to see how Texas is doing. As soon as we can, we want to ramp them back up again because I think people need them. So we will keep you informed. There won't be any surprises if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram or here. or the website, we're gonna let you know. So, hope so. Hope so. Come on, Texas, get it together.
What the heck,
What the heck, Texas? Okay. Big Dog says you need to charge an extra $5 for the distress look.
See, wife? Shannon's
Michelle
like,
says-
these should be cheaper.
Michelle says, Shannon isn't gonna get you, you're working. That's right, keep working.
Yeah.
1980 says, there was a guy who took jeans and shot them with a shotgun to distress them and sold a ton of them.
Yeah. I
Michelle
never hear about
says,
that.
so I rewatched Thursday's live stream. At about 1 hour and 40 minutes, a can flies off the shelf and flips at the same time. And I was watching another sculptor, and he too had paranormal activity. It must be common.
What other sculptor were you watching?
We may have a
Not that I'm jealous. I just want to know. Maybe I want to watch them.
we might have a shop ghost.
Not a lot of guys who do this and go live.
Dorian, we'd love to have you.
Come on, Dorian. Next stop, Texas.
Michael Flasker says, witness Shannon says she wants accomplices, not witnesses.
That's right.
That's true.
I don't like accomplices. Like that's, you're asking for trouble at that point. They know too much.
Rodney says, I want to do both of those labs. Big Dog, ooh, smoked a pork butt, smoked baked potatoes, wife has wine, and his old-fashioned bourbon. Beautiful night, Big Dog. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Okay, so what I'm doing now
Channel
is
named Lorecraft.
what?
Lorecraft. L-O-R-E Craft.
Warcraft?
Was the channel that had the other paranormal activity in the show.
Cool, thank you. I would love to see what they do.
Thanks, Michael. Alan, I can't see what's going on.
Well, I was just cleaning up. What has to happen now, okay, is this bar is right here, all right? So that's why it had to be a 3-piece mold. But now that I'm looking at it, I think a 4-piece mold is the way to go. And I'm going to make a wall right here, okay, in the middle of this bar. And then, so this mold will come up over to here. And then these two will go on each way. And this wall has to be angled this way, so that this piece can, yeah, that'll be fine. All right, so now I've got to build a mold wall here to contain this mold underneath.
Daryl D says, I'm interested in the labs. I'm glad I only live about 40 minutes away.
That's awesome, Daryl.
Rachel says, your camera is rocking. Is that due to the fans?
No, this is an arm that it's on now. So, like, and the arm is clamped to the table. So, if I hit the table, you get a little Godzilla shake on the camera. And I'm trying to find the best solution, and this may not be it. Or maybe this has to be clamped to something that is not the table that I'm working on. Because, yeah, that does look like a lot of shaking. If it's a problem, let me know and I can move it around.
Michael says, Warcraft, he sculpted Freddy.
Oh,
Ezekiel, hello.
what's up, Ezekiel?
Ezekiel says, hello, Hopses, Pooches, Kitties, and Creepers. The Bradshaw kids demand I say hello on their behalf.
Hello, Bradshaw kids.
Awesome costumes those kids have made.
Yes.
Ezekiel, love the video. Hugo says that's a fantastic moment.
Well, it's gonna be a a treat.
Ben says, Alan, do you still use the plastic playing cards for mold walls?
On occasion, not all the time, but on occasion I do.
Alan, how will those fit around the back piece, wrapped in foil?
Well, this back piece sticks out. So what I'm doing right now is I'm walling that off with clay so I can bring this mold up to here and not have a problem.
Dorian says, funny, Big Dog and I have something in common. I just put 2 pork butts on the big green egg, slow and low for the next 13 hours. Sorry guys, Eastern North Carolina style. Dorian, that's fantastic.
Y'all are talking my wife's language.
What is better than a pork shoulder? That is great. And a big green egg. Wow, that's a great toy, man. Love it. Love smoking.
So I have to think about this when this wall is here and this is stone. You know, that's going to be a thing. And I have to make sure that it's going to be able to slide off in this direction. Pretty sure that I'll be fine because of the angle of the wall over here.
Tarantula says they're having chard for tonight. It's pork night. It really is. Gregory says, wow, 4-piece mold. This is complicated. Sorry, Alan.
This is Jenga, yeah, but I have something with a hole in it. Number one, there's a hole through it, and I have to mold it. So that always means a little bit more work. And there are solid things that I have to work around. So, yeah.
Ezekiel says, y'all are making me hungry. Hey,
That's what the creepers do. I make stuff, and y'all end up talking about food.
Dorian Flower says, when I come out, we will cook some. Michael says, I plan on sculpting Michael Myers for my first attempt at a mask. Apparently, it was based off William Shatner, so I have to start out by sculpting him.
Yes, you do. That is truth. So I'm going to attach my new holder to my old tripod, which you might think defeats the purpose, and yet maybe not. But I have to clamp it on, pull up the nose shot. One-handed clamps are awesome.
I have you frozen.
That's you, wife.
There it goes.
But I didn't like all that shakiness on the camera, so maybe that'll be better. And I'm about to use the work a lot on the table, but now I can do this, and you guys aren't having a Godzilla attack at home.
Okay, Stone Farmer, what's the added height you get with the stilts?
17 inches.
They like that, thank you. That's a good angle for the camera, like you have.
Good, great. I'm flattening out clay in order to make some mold balls.
Big Dog says, Alan, maybe an arm from the ceiling, like the dentist office.
I'm looking into several things. I have to be careful because my level of production cannot cause more than a certain amount of work, if that makes any sense. I have to figure out what my goal is in life. Is my goal producing videos? Then that changes things. Is my goal producing monsters? Because right now I'm working as if my goal is producing monsters. And I film it. That is why you get this level of production quality. If my goal was different, and my goal was to produce videos, then you would probably have a higher production quality. And is that a shift that I might have to make at some point in the future? Maybe, who knows? And I have to set this up so that the bottom is the finished side of the mold wall.
Finn says, hey Alan, I was thinking of you when I went to Whataburger today.
All right.
And Jara says, I'm recovering from the 5K I did today and much ice cream is needed.
Heck yes.
Ezekiel, if you were doing a Chewbacca costume, would you do stilts?
Yes. I would do 15-inch stilts.
1980 is doing pork steaks tomorrow. They are defrosting on the stove. Tonight is chicken patties and tater tots. Cat Swift, novice question. Hang on, Cat. If the bottom of the foot is open and you pour into it, how do you close off the top part?
The bottom is open and the top is open. So the last thing that I do on this mold, technically it'll be 5 pieces. I've got to make a plug for the bottom with a cord that goes all the way up so that I can fill it up, let it dwell for a certain amount of time, and then pull the cork out and then let it drain into a bucket underneath.
Good question.
I've made a lot of stilt feet, and I find that's the best way to do it. You do it on a plate, and then you kind of lock it down and into that plate, and then you put that cork in, and the string goes up and through, and you're able to pull that in order to get that out.
Field Walker Masks. Hello from Scotland.
Hello, Field Walker.
Cat says, thank you, great info. Tarantula likes Field Walker Masks. Says it's an interesting movie title. Hello from Scotland. Big Dog, or he says he wants to. Stone Farmer says, I'm thinking I might be making a Bigfoot costume for 2021. Big Dog says, or you just buy one from Ellen.
I have a good Bigfoot costume. I don't know if you've seen it on the internet.
Michael says, I love the way you do things now, Alan. I feel privileged to be able to peek in, and learn so much. Thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you.
I got you, Cat. Line Cook 4. We have homemade ice cream, homemade cream of tomato soup, and grilled cheese. Hey, that's classic. Cannot go wrong with that. 1980. Will you use the mold for props as well, or just stilts?
I don't do a lot of props. Like, there might be a day when I make a full werewolf for the Monster Museum. And if I do, then, hold on, I have to navigate around the dog. That's what they do. Luckily, he was feeling beneficent. If I make a full werewolf for the Monster Museum, then this is, yeah, what I'll do. Same thing I did over here, I'm just doing on this side now.
You're not going to be able to see what you're doing.
No. Do you guys want me to move the camera so you can see what I'm doing? I am doing the same thing, just from the other side. But we can do it. What?
Have you learned nothing?
Your faces learn nothing.
Learn nothing.
This is very bendy. I like that.
Yeah.
Like, it'll pretty much stay at any angle I want.
Cat says, navigate around the dog, something only true peddlers would say.
Oh man. Well, when they lay out, they're each 6 foot long and 3 feet wide, you know. So I have a good sized shop, but
There's 3 of them.
there's 3 of them,
That makes, they take a lot of risk.
and even my shop has space limitations. I did watch the Monster Day live, and Ed was the livest part of it was the interaction that you got from Ed and someone else on the Distortions crew were answering all comments, and that was so nice. A lot of times on those big live events, you know, you, the commenter, gets lost. But they were on it. They saw pretty much every question and answered it, and I thought that was wonderful. course, if Monster Day was happening, I would have been there, you know.
Roger says, so glad Alan does these live videos. I learned much, and I couldn't imagine what I would have paid for the knowledge. 1980 says I saw an awesome video someone made, a baby Darth Maul out of a baby Yoda toy. And I'd have to pour another baby Yoda.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just making sure of my angles. This one, because this wall's a little bit angled down. All right, this wall isn't flat. If this wall were flat, then another wall could meet it flat and then come off perfectly this way, or even this way. But this wall is angled, so this wall's going to be angled. And now this hand is in the way, so I just have to make sure that this is the right angle where all of this will be able to come apart. And I think we're there. We're ready for Vaseline.
Did you fill the little holes from your pegs?
I did. It happened very quickly, but yes, I did.
Oh,
They're such tiny holes. I did not fill this one, so thanks for reminding me.
Rob O'Brien says, I'm actually thrilled that we get to see a multi-part mold. I have a hard time wrapping my head around it.
I think everybody does. Like it's a multi-part mold doesn't really come more than 2. Like 2 is second nature. That's no problem. As soon as you go into 3 and 4, but honestly, the more pieces you break that into, the easier it is. Because the whole reason why I went multi-piece is if I did this half and then that half, it would lock together. And I would have a seam down the middle of the foot. Now I'm preserving the look of the front of the foot, and my seams are forced all the way off to the sides.
Big Dog says, Alan, is Ed really like that in person?
Ed is the nicest man in America. And I can say that now because I used to say my buddy Dean was the nicest man in America, but now he lives in Belize. So he's no longer in America. Not the best chisel.
Michael says, I sculpted a large sphinx with my face on it. My biggest issue was the mother mold. I made it too many parts. I overestimated how many parts it needed to split into.
Yeah, well, if you find that it does go together pretty easy one way or another, all you do is you fuse those extra pieces together. Like if I find that this will pour up as a 3-piece mold, it will not, then I would just never take apart those other pieces. I would leave them together. I'm just looking at it, and I see a little hole up here that I didn't fill in. I missed one. But, all right, so those little holes in the mold will be little pegs of plaster. And they're so thin that you just go in, you break them off, and you smooth them down with your thumbnail, and they go away. So it's not like it's going to greatly affect the mold. Because any hole in it is an outie in the mold, whereas any bump on it is an innie in the mold. If that makes any sense.
Have you ordered a 12-foot skeleton yet?
Yes, I have.
Drive-through farm stores here in Miami are individually owned. This one sells whole-day lobster bisque on Friday and Saturday, and I'm wondering if I should try it. What do you think? This could be monster-related if it's been tainted accidentally with negative neutrons, and in my sleep tonight I developed large antennae and get scaly skin. Madeline, that is true. You could. Anytime you can get lobster bisque, it should be done. This should not be something you contemplate.
When in doubt, lobster bisque.
At no time should you consider this. You should just do it. That's what I have to say about that.
My wife is a fan of lobster bisque.
I'm a fan of everything.
My wife is a fan of everything.
Everything.
Okay.
1980 says, okay, I'm curious, what will you do with the 12-foot skeleton?
I think I'm going to make it into a Cyclops skeleton for my monster museum. I have done a lot of skeletons for the museum, and having a Cyclops skeleton I think would be good. that turns a corner. Here's my current corner turn. So that means this whole corner takes place within this mold, within this piece. I think I want to slide this wall down so that this corner is exactly where this breaks. And by breaks, I mean turns. And we fixed it. It was that easy. Pretty much.
Robert White, Shannon, have you ever smoked lobster? Robert, I have not. I have not, but that I'm fascinated with that. Or actually, I think anything is good smoked. So, yeah. Plastic Ninja, I snagged one of the tall black guys. Did you? The skeleton.
I did. See now there's this moment of apprehension whenever Shannon reads a comment, because whatever it is, it could be Peter North. You never know. So I have to make sure it's in the right context before I answer.
Zika says 3.6 meter skeletons. Wow, I could do fewer of those.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't mind doing some set pieces with them. Like, imagine a nice set of arches with a skeleton on each side and their hands, you know, over the middle, and you just build them into a set of arches. So that would look great. There's this whole group on Facebook of haunters making fun of other haunters, and I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's kind of dumb, and I also think it's unprofessional for our industry. But anyway, I digress. Makes me sad. But they're making fun of the home haunters embracing of these 13-foot skeletons. I cannot make a 12-foot skeleton for $300. It cannot be done. And if I could, I would rather pay $300 and have someone else do it. It looks good, it's giant, and it's awesome. If you don't think it's an amazing deal and it's great, shut up. You're a dummy. And I don't say such strong things very often, but I went out and got me one. Of course I did. You know, and if I was spending for Dark Hour right now, I would buy Dark Hour a couple. I'm on a little bit of a hold because, you know, this season is not happening the way that it should, so I'm not going to spend a lot. But yeah, a 12-foot skeleton, maybe 13 for $300. That is a no-brainer.
Brian says hunters are awesome. Plastic Ninja says, I want to do a giant zombie with one and name it 1-1, but $300 is a tad rich for my family. Michael says, by the way, I've only poured one Sphinx because it was too heavy for me to lift. It's still in the backyard where I flipped it over. I need to make a contraption.
Wow, yeah. Make yourself a jig or a rig. All right, so I have the mold wall for this piece on. And I have to go and Vaseline the other side, and you're going to come with me, because if I don't take you, my wife will say they can't see what you're doing. Wisely. My wife is your advocate.
Michael says I was too ambitious.
Nothing wrong. If someone asks if you can do something, you say yes, and then you figure out how.
Ezekiel says, folks, I must go. My son is playing football. Have a great evening. Enjoy them foods. Sounds awesome. Ezekiel, your football is very different from our football. So, way to go, kid.
He's playing footy.
Footy. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Our internet
Just you. I'm good.
no, it's not just me.
What do you mean?
Brian's out.
so I have to Vaseline all of this.
Hey, Rob, are you good? I'm back here. Okay, he says it's back. Rodney Poe. I'm not a fan of all the make fun of people's talent level on war props either.
No. I haven't addressed it directly yet. I'm letting it go for a while. But you know what? I'm no one special. I'm nobody special. I don't have to address it. I just have to not participate to be a good person. Yeah. Do I think it's nice or good for the industry? No, I don't. I think it's gatekeeping, and it is making fun of people just because they're new. Inappropriate. But, you know what, I know I'm a goody two-shoes. I understand. I like standing on the moral high ground with my ankles barely getting wet. I understand that. So I have to kind of balance, because I'm a guy, never drank, really, never smoked, never did any drugs. Never been arrested. I'm a pretty boring guy. I just make monsters and do haunted houses. So that's, everything you need to know about Alan Hobbs as soon as you meet my wife and know what I do for a living. That's it. There's not a lot of deep layers to me. And I'm a bit of a goody two-shoes. I get it.
Michael says, don't be a monster. Robert White says it's called bullying. Big Dog says, yes, don't be a monster. Rob O'Brien says, but everyone starts somewhere.
Absolutely.
Madeline says, it's a new person to many things. Thanks for putting that comment out.
Well, it's frustrating to me.
Rachel says, in other fandoms, we call people like that elitists. I haven't found a community that doesn't have them. She's right.
Well, we have them.
Plastic says, don't forget fishing.
Fishing, that makes me happy.
Hey, Chad. Chad says, hey, I never did drugs either. High five. We should get jackets.
High five!
Cat Swift. Okay. So the mold wall at the top is just a temporary piece for you to place the plaster against?
Yes.
Then remove it to work on the top two pieces?
Yes, exactly. This side of it is going to become the bed for the half of the other side of the mold. The next mold wall that I make
That's great.
I got to set it somewhere and then know it's going to sink about 2 inches or 3. Okay, so the next mold wall that I make is going to be right here, and I'll set it up this way, and I'll do this piece of the mold that kind of turns the corner here, and it'll stop here, and then it'll stop right there, and then I'll do the other piece, and all of them will kind of meet together. Now this mold is going to have a hole in the ankle, and it's going to have, this top will be open and this bottom will be open. So it's going to be a peach. I have to grease this up. When in doubt, lubricate.
Madeline says, I wonder what you learned when your wife is met.
My wife is what?
I wonder what you learned when your wife is met. I don't know
What
the
you
answer
learn is you learn the most important thing there is to me, and that's my wife. Second most important thing is probably monsters. What a big part of my life they are.
Ross Reichert says, new shirt idea. What's the difference between a home haunt and a professional haunted house? Nothing, just the love of Halloween. Hey, Corey. Corey Seymour's heading out to make stuff. Have a good night.
See you, sir.
Hey, Misty. We know Alan has an interest in fishing and Bigfoot. What is something Shannon has an interest in?
Oh, cooking, gardening. Cooking and gardening are her two biggies, I would say.
Photography.
And photography, yeah.
Big Dog says wine.
And wine. Hey, if you're married to me, you would drink a lot of wine
Oh,
too.
that's so true. Okay, you guys, y'all are sweet. Cats, Alan, cats. Thank you, Courtney. Y'all are very sweet. Being Mrs. Hobbs is not for sissies. No.
I know that.
Both ran on that, that's right.
And we're not gonna, there's no mold wall here, 'cause this is all one piece. This doesn't have to be two pieces. Okay.
Chad says, I'm not gonna lie, I thought wine also.
In the immortal words of Leroy Jenkins, let's do this.
All right.
I'm gonna check my Vaseline on the other side.
Hello, Minnie Brown. Ah, there he is. Our thumbs down is here.
Hooray!
Hooray,
Hello,
thumbs
thumbs
down.
down.
Good to see you.
Didn't know if you would show up this evening.
Oh, he always shows up. Or she. Could be she.
Probably someone who is pro-bullying. Which, I believe there should be an appropriate amount of bullying. Like, I don't think we should have a zero bullying environment.
Elaborate.
Um,
You can't just make a statement like that and not elaborate.
I think a certain amount is important for getting to know people and understanding things. You know, and seeing the effects of it and how it plays out. Seeing what that person's relationships are like.
Esther says, sorry for all the questions, but this is fascinating. So Vaseline is a release agent for the parts.
Yes. Yes, the Vaseline is going to keep the plaster I'm about to put on from sticking to the plaster I put on yesterday. All right.
78 people are watching.
Hello, 78 people. I am about to mix up some plaster. Making sure you guys can see me. Hey, White,
Yeah.
squeeze this.
They can't see what you're doing. This is
Experiment.
show them what it is that you're doing.
Oh, I was just showing this. This came in the mail today. This is a neoprene foam. And I'm going to do an experiment with it probably tomorrow. It's a nice, it's a very latexy, squishy foam. It's good stuff.
Uncle Brian says sticky foam.
If you burn it, it's stinky. Putting on gloves because plaster is very bad for your skin.
What are you going to make with the neoprene?
I'm not going to say yet. It's an experiment. But I was wondering, I have the awesome scale tool, and I want to make some mermaids for dark hour. When people make mermaid tails, Why don't they just sew the neoprene so it's thicker? And a lot of people make them out of spandex, but then you can see the knees, and that's. I don't think it breaks up the human form enough. I think that a thicker neoprene suit that was all sewn together and velcroed in the right spots would look better. I'm not saying there's going to be mermaids, but that's why don't they make those that way?
Madeline says, mermaids. Rodney says, if you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you will never get it done. Bruce Lee. I saw that saying. It reminded me of something Alan said during a live one day.
You just got to do stuff. Yeah.
Cat Swift says, because spandex can be slinky and sexy. Neoprene, not so much.
Well, but I mean, it is form fitting. If you think about a wetsuit, that's form fitting. Wetsuits are slinky. It all depends on what's under it, you know. I wouldn't look sexy in spandex or neoprene because I'm shaped like a shaved bear, a chubby shaved bear. All right, so willy-nilly, I've just started mixing plaster. The ankle down to the ground, the bottom of the foot.
Rob O'Brien, I just responded to your photo on the creepers. I'm very excited. Rob O'Brien is he's printing his Great Pumpkin Project tags.
Oh.
Designed from Chad Savage, which are the best tags. And
Chad Savage is the best.
Chad Savage is the best. And
I like that guy.
that means he's going to do the project.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You know, it's a different Halloween.
Join me,
Do
buddy.
things.
That is so great. I'm so excited. Thin goggles. The sleep stack bodies were neoprene wetsuits with latex scales over the surface.
Sure. I believe that.
Madeline says, I have opinions on mermaids, and I agree about breaking up the silhouettes.
Yeah, I don't want to see your knees. If you're a mermaid, I don't want to see your knees.
Madeline says, Alan would make an adorable male mermaid. Considering it coming. I agree, Madeline.
It's probably not going to happen.
Rob says, yay, and yes, Chad Savage is a sweet, sweet man. He is. Chad Smith says, rumor has it all the cool kids are named Chad. This is probably true, Chad. Probably true. I am so excited, Rob. I'm so glad you're going to do this. Madeline says, what do you think about the split-tail mermaid at Starbucks? Have you ever noticed the split-tail mermaid and just went straight for the frappuccino?
On the cup?
Yeah.
Yes, I've noticed it.
What do you think about it?
Oh, I don't like a two-tailed mermaid. I like my mermaids to have one tail. I also really like them to have the long dorsal fin that starts at the top of their butt and goes almost all the way down. I like the fin. The fin makes sense. That's been long enough.
How long was it for those?
Normally I let it sit for 2 minutes so that the water has a chance to seep in. Maybe I didn't go 2 minutes this time, but close enough. Also, this plaster is, I think this plaster is a little bit off. It's kicking very fast. I had several batches yesterday that kicked very fast, and I'm just going to pretend like this is one that's going to kick fast. That way, if it doesn't, at least I don't have a problem. This is that moment when I'm like, did I Vaseline both the sides? did just sort of jump into mixing plaster pretty quick on this.
Is that the same plaster?
Yes, same plaster. I'm going to use it till it's gone because I don't want any of my Monster Camp students to use it.
Linda Vito says hello, it's 102 degrees, which makes it a hot garage. I had to come in for making stuff, and here you all are.
Here we are.
Linda Vito, where are you? We're in the high 90s today, but we're not 102. We were a couple of days ago. Where are you?
We were 107 a few days ago.
We were 107. KDFX says, hello, sexy.
Hi.
Is this a two-piece mold? I was only able to see the buildup of the armature. The shop has been busy.
It's going to be actually a 4-piece mold.
Chad Smith says, did you see my compliment on Alan being shaped like a shaved bear?
Huh, huh.
Chad, no, I didn't see that.
I appreciate that you went through all the effort to find a compliment somewhere in there.
Linda's in Arizona. So, Linda, is that dry? Or do you have humidity with that, or is it dry? Doesn't matter. It's still 102.
Yeah, 102 is
So it
102.
doesn't matter. But Madeline says, it is so humid here. It's a good thing I like mermaids. It's like breathing water. You had a...
What I forgot on this, by the way, was pry points. So now I'm putting some clay pry points in.
Just as you said that, 1980 said, did you add pry points?
So yeah, I caught myself. That's why I like, in my head, I'm going, boy, I mixed plaster really fast. What did I miss?
1980 was right there.
Yeah.
I did that.
See? Some of y'all think that 1980 can be a jerk sometimes, but he's really looking out for me. He's a backseat sculptor for sure, but he's got my back on these moldios. Yeah, if I didn't have pry points in there, it would come apart probably. It's just a lot more difficult.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madeline says, you missed my opinions on where the dorsal fin should start. Dorsal fins do not start on the tail of the fish or marine mammal.
It should start higher up, like on their back. Yeah.
Chad says, so you don't have to scroll up. I said I would rather look like a shaven bear rather than a melting vanilla ice cream cone I resemble. Misty Jezereski, since most mermaids don't have gills, I tend to think of them as more part dolphin than fish and air breathers.
Well,
Pat Swift says, my youngest has been a mermaid since school days. I upgrade the costume every few years, and she went from Little Mermaid, then to a Baba Boo. She's 31.
okay.
Madeline agrees with you. She says, yep, that's what I said.
That's when you go out for larger seashells or coconuts.
Okay, press on. Why do you
It's mermaid talk,
why are you
man.
making more work? You're making more work, just make the mold.
Shut up and make the mustard
Shut up
now.
and make mustard. Making more work. Tarantula, I'm dealing with some stuff right now, so I'm zoned out and really not able to pay attention. I'm gonna head out, and thanks for the stream. Hey Tarantula, have a good night.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
It's always good to hear from you.
It is.
John C., the fin in the back is the adipose fin. Probably said that wrong. Like in a piranha, or stiffened into a keel, like in a tuna or mackerel.
If we could all just agree that mermaids were like eels, we wouldn't have to make scales on them. Just saying.
Stone Farmer said we hit 112 a few days ago here in Central California. hospital this year, it would be a good costume to wear to pediatrics.
There's a mermaid wheelbarrow in Scarborough that they move the mermaids around in because they can't walk with their tails. Okay. Hi everybody, I'm about to mix up some plaster. If you are not a normal watcher, I guess most of you are normal watchers because these are numbers consistent with what we normally do. But if you're not a normal watcher, understand that someone is reading comments to me and we'll answer any questions or whatever. This plaster should kick very fast because I'm using dirty water. And this plaster is a little bit older, so it is kicking very fast. I should have 30 minutes, and you know what, once I start this, Alexa, start a countdown, 15 minutes.
15 minutes, starting now.
Let's see if this plaster is getting hard in as little as 15 minutes.
KBFX, are you doing it in sections, focusing on the crowns and then moving up?
The first thing you want to do is get a layer over everything. So that's the first deal, okay? You want to paint a layer on everything. Because where two different mixes of plaster join together, you'll get a little seam, almost like a Hamon line on a knife. And you have to be careful of that. Those can get air bubbles. So getting that first coat on is important without air bubbles.
Warmonger says the dogs are passed out.
Oh yeah, that happens pretty quick.
Madeline says a mermaid with scales should have gills. A mermaid without them does not need gills, the implication being they are mammals or magical.
Yeah.
1980 says normal is a matter of perspective. Big Dog asks, what is the meaning of life?
42.
Cat Smith says, I told Stowe the farmer to drive west. She's in Central California on the beach and it's 75 today.
Hooray.
David says, I am an abnormal watcher. And Edson says, pretty fully. Harry Beastie says, the Starbucks logo is based on a Pictish carving on a Sono stone in Scotland. Hello, Edson. 1980 says, Abby Normal has entered the checkpoint. Stone Farmer says, Alan, you just set my timer on the AOEXA.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, now I'm going to mix up my plaster. Alexa, how much time is left on my timer?
You have 13 minutes left on your 15-minute timer.
See, that's about 2 minutes. Alexa, what's your favorite color?
I like ultraviolet. It glows with everything. Thanks for asking. And now for a plot twist. Try asking me to tell you a story.
No.
No, Alexa.
When you hear your story, it's going to be bad. Stone Farmer says, stop it, Alan. Edson says, hello.
Hello, Edson. See, when you start mixing a little sooner, you end up having to get air bubbles out more. I mean, lumps out. There's that time where it's just sitting in the bowl. What you're really doing is you're allowing that water to seep in.
1980 says, I need to watch Young Frankenstein again. That movie has a very special place
Yeah, with our cast.
in our cast.
So for, you know what, that's story time. When you
Okay.
need story time,
Okay,
you will explain why young Frankenstein has a very special time. So something that we do is that whenever I have to leave, my wife will tell a story. And it's some people's favorite part. They watch the whole broadcast, hoping that I leave.
Actually, you want a picture.
Yeah, so we're getting thicker.
Madeline says, well, I worry you will discuss mermaids. I believe I will go get lobster bisque. Madeline, go get that soup.
Mermaids are one of the universal monsters. Not like universal movies, but they are one of the monsters that is found in every culture. There is no culture that doesn't have mermaids. Even landlocked cultures talk about mermaids. They all have different names, and sometimes they have different abilities and powers. Normally, they're known for causing storms, and they almost always eat sailors. And this one thing that I've learned from studying lots of monsters, apparently sailors are delicious. What doesn't eat sailors? Voldemort.
Madeline says that's because they are real. 1980 says, kind of like dragons.
Yeah.
Jensen says, nothing better than pocket cheeseburgers. KBFX says, when plaster, using clean water and room temperature will go from crushable and thin for a while, and then thicken very quickly, almost instantly, to where it's hardened in the bucket.
What kind of plaster is that?
Hello, Lanny Williams.
Hey, Lanny.
Lanny, good for you.
See, I'm already sludge. Alexa, how much time is left on my timer?
You have 9 minutes and 30 seconds left on your 15-minute timer.
This is UltraCal 30. I should have 30 minutes of working time. I don't. Somewhere out there, Stacy should feel vindicated.
John C. says, too much growth. Big Guy says, sailors taste like chicken. Chicken and sea.
How would sea monsters even know what chicken tastes like? They would eat chicken for the first time and they would say, ooh, it tastes like sailors. So some people might make smaller batches of plaster, knowing that it kicks really fast and it's going to be a problem. You know what we call those people? Smart people. I do not call myself. Sometimes you can roll plaster into a log like that and then put it where you need to go.
Madeline says, I also like manatees. So cool. You see them underwater. Like lobster.
Madeline, weren't you leaving to get soup? Or is that someone else?
Vincent says, damn it, Rob. Field Walker says, have you ever had a bowl where the separate parts accidentally stuck together?
Yes, early in my career. That's called a mold lock. And normally when that happens, you have created a lawn ornament, created a stone. It won't work as a mold if you can't get it apart or you can't get the clay out. I'm just working very fast in order to get.
KBFX says, Ultra Cal 30 plaster.
Okay, yeah, that actually kind of sounds like a bad batch. UltraCal 30 gets thicker over time. It should not immediately turn into sludge. This is not normal Ultra Cal 30. This is very fast kicking. Oh, and that's, I can handle it. You know, I ain't scared, but not for sissies.
If it locks, could you use a cement saw to cut it apart?
You could, but you would kill your seam line. I mean, yeah, you could. Can you saw it apart? Yes. Will the mold still be good after that? Things that are cut apart with a saw normally aren't meant to be put back together. And the whole point of making a two-piece mold is to put it back together. I am happy with that mold.
1980, they believe sea lions and seals are the inspiration for sirens as they beach on rocks. They noise that sound like singing to lonely sailors. Also, larger rivers are considered more attractive.
What I have heard from several sources is that the duogong in Southeast Asia is one of the main sources, which is a manatee-like animal. Who was saying that?
That was 1980.
Yes. Send me a message, and I'll send you more duogong info. It's like a Asian manatee.
Rachel, okay, so it looks like there's a crack in the clay across the center support. Is that happening due to tension being put on the silt?
No, the crack in the clay is from the clay being a little bit dry. But I'm going to leave that crack there, and then when the mold is made, that'll be like a razor blade of plaster that I can just break off and smooth out.
Says, when I did the troll mass, it happened again. The second, third layer I did thickened up and ratcheted.
Interesting. Were those different bags of plaster? What was your water temperature? All those are factors. Okay, and this plaster. Alexa, how much time is left on my countdown?
No new notifications.
Alexa, how much time is left on my timer?
You have 3 minutes and 50 seconds left on your 15-minute timer.
This plaster was mixed and kicked in under 11 minutes.
Does the bag have an expiration date?
I don't know that they print expiration dates on them, and I dump them into a big plastic tub as soon as I get them, so I don't keep the bags. I've never looked for like a printed expiration date.
Dog says too much humidity messes with the plastic.
Yes, that's why I keep it in a plastic tub, because even humidity from the air can react with the stone, with the powder, and start causing the reaction. So that when it finally gets to water, it is faster.
Have you seen Cobweb's video? It looks like killer plants may be a popular choice this season.
They are. And I have some killer plants planned anyway for my monster museum, because they get on me every year about adding plants outside. I'm just going to make some fake monster plants and be done with it. But I'll put motors on them and they'll move. It'll be fun.
Yeah, those are finest.
Yeah, I didn't like the look. I liked them, the ones at Michael's, but they were not what I wanted them to be. I have great plant expectations.
1980, up the road from where I'm at, the natives painted a large creature known as the possum bird on the bluff. Theories of
Yeah.
everything from large eagles and possible dragon-like creatures inspired the art.
I am familiar with that art, actually. So now I have the clay off in between those two. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put on some pry points. There you are. See my eyeball? I'm going to put on some pry points. I'm going to do this side first, then I'll come over and do the side you can see.
Have you visited the Hokkien Mounds while you were in St. Louis?
I have not. St. Louis, I am so busy when I am there that is all that I do. I have never put a fishing pole in the water in Missouri.
Big dog, I'm trying to.
Alexa, stop.
Big dog, I'm trying to talk the wife into the sleeping giant from distortions. It's not working.
That's a lot of talking, big dog. It's a lot of talking.
John C. says some believes the pterodons and relatives lived to the mid-1800s. Chad Smith says, I'm looking forward to getting my sculpting kit. I'm excited to try Skeletor.
Yeah, that sucker, it's a life changer. It is a life changer. And you know what? I wish I could have done like 5-minute long videos for every single one of the tools, but you know, just people's brains won't do that. Maybe at some point I will do a like a long infomercial about the sculpting tools and show all of the things. You know what? I'll show you guys a scale tool trick here real quick. Gotta find my scale tool. All right, I want to show you with the big one, with Skeletor, just because easier to see and all that. So, you know that you can just push in scales, right? Yeah, that's fine. But you can also then slide and lift that scale a little bit. This is a sheet. Well, I need to be a sculptor. Trying to do this on a sheet of clay is tough. Push in, lift up. Here, push in, lift up. See how I'm getting real lifted scales that way? Push it in and lift it up as I pull out. It just gives you a lot of dimension.
Justin Pfeiffer says, I like the monster figure shirt red. And you get what? Where do you get your socks or your sock masks?
I order them like 100 at a time from China, but you can get them on Amazon.
Next year, you should consider a side trip to check it out. The mounds are neat, but the artifacts in the visitor center, as well as the history of the mound builders, are important. Ben Godwin says, hey, Alan, did you ever cast the snake mold you did with Mitch? If so, can we see it or the mold?
It is actually upstairs and in storage. Yes, I've casted it. And I sold like 6 of those. It was a good mold. I was pretty happy with it. But look at the dimensionality you get by lifting and pulling the scales. Anyway, yeah, like that's a lot of scales. scale the tour. Everything I did before, I kind of have to do again because I got a little bit over that wall. Find my screwdriver that I was using.
The Art Museum in St. Louis has a large antique armory collection as well. Chad Smith says that trick would be good for feathers. Misty says that is so cool looking. Kat says, I feel like such a tech nerd. Happy on the PC doing admin on the laptop and the game just started on the phone.
Nerd.
Rachel says the sizing screams scale nails.
Yes.
Are all your tools in green or can we get black?
What
Is it black on your counter?
what I'm actually thinking, all my tools are in green, but I think I might do black ones for folks who attend Monster Camp as a added bonus, and a tool set. And for the record, more tools are coming. Like I have more designs in my head. The first ones I did were the most common. They're getting a good reception, and I have a whole other set of tools for biomechanical stuff to sculpt. That has been my flavor of sculpture cheating for a long time. So I have some designs in my pocket. And having made them out of wood for so long, whether it was popsicle sticks or whatever, tongue depressors, it's just having the laser cutter and doing them on acrylic, very helpful. They've opened up so much. The scale tool, I would have to make 3 or 4 of those per project because they would break on the grain because of how thin the wood is and how long that grain is. And the head of a Dremel, like a 1/2-inch Dremel getting down in there, was kind of perfect. Okay, so the next thing that I have to do, I haven't put on my pry points yet. I said I was going to do that, but I didn't. The next thing that I have to do is put a mold wall right here to separate this side of the mold from that side of the mold. I have to do one here, and I have to do one up top here. I have to do one up top here, and here in this hole, and I don't really need one back there because I'm not going all the way around this. And I just scaled out the clay that I would have used for my mold wall.
Kat says, I think green would be easier to find than you on the counter.
Yes.
Says, I have 100 popsicle sticks in my drawer and was using them. Chad says, more tools coming. I should have waited for the jumbo set.
See, what I'll do is I'll do another set of 5, so it'll even out, man. The sizes we did now are the ones that I think I needed the most. And before I ever made them to sell, I was using them for a while beforehand. As you guys might have seen watching me sculpt.
Hello, Joanne Crowley. Ben, I sent you some links. Let me know you got them. That one just bigger. Produce the tools yourself.
Yes. They're made in the other room.
explain to Finn Godwolf about the snake that you could not show the actual snake. You got a picture of the mold, the finished product, the actual snake. The story about that you couldn't show that on social media.
Oh, yes. I really couldn't show too much of the snake molding because it was an actual dead snake. I molded a dead snake. That's probably not the way I would go again, but I don't want to cause anybody distress by showing a dead animal, you know. Now this mold wall here, I have to set up for one side or the other. You know, like this won't stay for both of them. I'm going to do one, and then the plaster from the other side will become the mold wall for the other.
Cat says, oh terrible, my neighbor is having a bad night. Harbor Patrol, fire engine, EMT trucks, and now an ambulance. Hopefully it's just a fall. Scott Creighton, hello. Rodney Pope, so are you able to cast snakes from that mold?
Yes, I am. It is a resin mold. I have to cast them in urethane. I would honestly, though, rather just sculpt the snake because I'm happier with just a sculpted snake, I think. And the mold still smells kind of bad because of the aforementioned dead snake.
Alan, we can't see.
I know.
Chad Smith says, I showed the wife her tools, and she said, you already have those tools and popsicle sticks. Why buy them? I said, because they're free. And also, here I can use the sticks I have for mixing.
They are much more awesome.
Big Gabo says, oh my God, those snakes are awesome.
Oh, did you find the pictures? Oh, you're so good, wife.
Stupid, but the story of
Yeah, I couldn't really show it.
how that's so I'm thinking we should do. Any ghost sightings tonight?
No. No, I do not think that we have a ghost here in the shop.
Just tell them how you told me about the snake coming in the mail.
Oh,
What's for dinner?
was it already here and in the fridge?
No, it was coming the next day.
Oh,
You
yes.
said it passing.
I was getting a snake in the mail. You should tell that story too.
We were heading somewhere, and Alan says, oh, by the way, guys, this is how life is here, okay? This will happen again tomorrow. This is not anything different. But Alan says, oh, by the way, there's about a 45, 50-pound frozen rose boa constrictor coming in the mail tomorrow. So if you get the package before I do, just put it in the freezer for me. What's for dinner?
And I said, don't open the box.
Don't open the box. What's for dinner? And then he just completely went back onto some other subject. Okay. A frozen 50-pound boa constrictor, by the way, is being bailed. And just, you know, it's just like breathing in, breathing out. Today is Monday. The sky is blue. There's a 50-pound frozen steak coming in the mail. What's for dinner? It's getting worse here. And I was just like, wait a minute, what's coming tomorrow? And literally, he was right. The next day, a soggy box. It was soggy. A soggy, cold box. And it's Texas, and it's summer, so it's out there by the mailbox. Arrives, and I'm picking up this stinky, soggy box and taking it to the freezer, and then I go change everything I was wearing, disinfect it because it smelled so bad.
Smelled awesome.
But yeah. See how it works?
Like,
There you go.
dead snake awesome.
Oh. Can I pick up a 50-pound frozen steak? Yes, I can. Did I? Yes, I did. I put away snake kebabs.
That is why being Mrs. Hobbs is not
Not
for
for
sissies.
sissies. Did you watch the video from last night about the ghost?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it. I mean, something fell off the shelf. I mean, I have fans going, so there's a little bit of vibration energy. There's stuff going on here. You know, there's fans in the ceiling. I've got 2 moisture traps, not moisture traps. I have 2 air scrubbers that go. So there's enough vibration where every now and then things just fall off of shelves. It happens. I would not assume it's a ghost every time.
Chad says, I'm surprised they didn't ship it with dry ice. So was I, Chad. So was I.
They did not.
So good. Living on the bluff. I don't like spiders and snakes. Jim Stafford plays on. I mean, you just roll with it. I picked up the giant frozen boa constrictor, the soggy box, it stunk, put it in the freezer, and went and made dinner. That's how things work around here. That's how it works. We did have a UPS lady who brought us a package, and the package said giant spiders on the package. They were not real spiders. They were fake spiders.
She was not thrilled about me making her deliver
Terrifying.
a box that said giant spiders.
She was such a nice lady, and she was so freaked out about having to pick that box up. She couldn't get rid of it fast enough. Poor lady.
Yeah, I could tell she wanted to kick it off the truck, but she
wanted
didn't kick it off because I was right there watching, or else she would have just kicked it off the truck.
Yeah, she was horrified.
Yeah. Mail days are fun days.
Scott Creighton says it was good entertainment while you were out of the shop. Then it says it was the cheap ghost. Big Dog says denial's not good. It's a ghost. Let us have it. I agree, Big Dog.
Y'all can ghost it up.
9K says it's a shrimp ghost or a paranormal prawn. That's for Ezekiel. Alan is not afraid of ghosts, or is he?
No, I'm not afraid of ghosts.
No. You're not. There's a ghost in this shop that he needs to get to work.
I'm not a denier of ghosts. I just haven't seen enough evidence of a ghost. As a believer, it's also my job to explain anything that is easy to explain as being easy to explain. Covered in white powder. Look like John Belushi over here. Okay. All right, so right now what I'm doing, it looks like I'm doing like a weird kata or something. I'm visualizing this mold piece sliding into these two. These two come together into a pretty fine point. I actually put a little bit of clay there in order to make that point not as fine. Because, you know, anything that sharp on a mold, it's going to break off as plaster. So... okay, let me put a couple more pry points on. Then we'll make this part of the mold.
It says, and Jonesy was really vocal shortly before it happened.
But Jonesy's always vocal. Like, vocal is his thing.
Warmonger says Alan will be puking green stuff if his head spins around.
Yeah! Wife, story time.
Oh, okay. We're talking about Young Frankenstein.
Young, a Frankenstein.
How much time do I have?
A minute.
Okay. So, we did black and white haunt for many years. And I think Helen's talked about it. It was a haunted house that was all the classic Universal monsters. And the classic Universal monsters were all in grayscale, so even the backgrounds, everything, it looks like you stepped into a black and white movie. And when you walked into the haunted house, there was color, these bright red velvet curtains, and it looked like a movie theater. We actually had old movie seats. I've got to get some pictures. I'll try and get some pictures and put them up on the Creepers page. But it was beautiful. So you walk in, and you're walking down the aisle in between the rows of seats into the movie screen. And the movie screen was an actual movie screen. We had a projector up in the top with a fan that was hitting a playing card, so it made the clicking sound. And we played classic black and white. So every night there was a different classic black and white movie. So tonight's movie is, and we would always tell the cast what's tonight's movie. And it was the classic Phantom of the Opera, the classic, Dracula, the classic black and white Wolfman. And it was very romantic. This was a love letter to the classics, and we did it one year and it was so well received. We loved it so much we did it again, and it ended up being our last 4 or 5 years, the last 4 or 5 years of our show. Instead of changing the theme every year, we just kept it the black and white haunt. And the black and white haunt was a perfect balance to Dark Hour, which is a very elaborate, if you've seen Dark Hour, it's a very elaborate, big production. This was a very humble, old school Valentine. So awesome. So we would play a different black and white film every night. And on the tradition with our cast was on the last night of the show, whether it was Halloween or the Saturday before Halloween, whatever night we were closing, the last night of our season, our movie was always Young Frankenstein. The first year we did this, we had a few young people on the cast who had never seen Young Frankenstein. Don't judge, they're young, they hadn't seen it. But the first time we did this, we started playing it, and it was about 10 minutes before the doors opened. Everybody's in costume, we're just waiting, and we were looking around, we couldn't find our actors. Where'd our actors go? We're like, it's so quiet, what's going on? We could hear the movie going. They'd already started the movie, and we would just put it on a continuous loop. But we couldn't find our actors. And I'm looking for, in a small haunted house, I'm looking for 22 actors who are also my friends, who have now disappeared, and I cannot find them. And I walked into the back of the movie theater scene, which is going through the screen, because you would walk down the aisle between the seats, you would walk into the screen, which had a slit. And when you walked into the movie screen, on the other side, everything was black and white. So it was very reverse Wizard of Oz. I couldn't find it. So I stick my head in through the screen, and there is every one of my actors sitting in the movie seats, watching the movie, completely disregarding that we're opening in 10 minutes. You need to be in your places, run the bathroom if you need to, get your water, whatever you need to do. Show night, let's go. And they were all sitting in the seats. And I stick my head through the screen, which immediately they give me stink eye, like, what are you doing? And I said, I stick my head through there and I said, look, hey, get in your places. And they all went, shh, and just shushed me and just ran me out and said, we'll get there, we're watching the show. And they were so engrossed, so many of them had never seen Young Frankenstein, that. And the thing was that patrons would always go through Dark Hour first, or the main haunts first. So with the show open at 7 p.m., the truth is we're not really going to see a patron for about 10, 15 minutes, so we always had a little bit of wiggle time. That doesn't matter. Be on time, be in your place, be ready to go. I could not get anybody to get in their place because they were just stuck on Young Frankenstein. And at the end of that season, it was one of the best memories, because at the end of it, if you've ever worked a show, by the time you're at the last night, you know everything in and out, you know everything you're doing. No one has to say, what do I make this sound? How do I express this? You know what you're doing. It's like breathing in and out. And there was nothing that was going to stop them from getting out of their seats, getting their show, boom, ready to go. And the fact that they were enjoying the movie so much, I didn't have the heart to stop them and the heart to tell them, hey, get to place. They were plus they shushed me.
I would have crushed them.
Whatever. Plus they shushed me. told me to be quiet for that reason. The black and white classics and black and white font was our love letter to Halloween. It was a Valentine, and we would always finish it with Frankenstein. So that movie's got some.
Yeah, that was always the last weekend, last night movie.
That was the last show. That was our tradition, and it was a great show. It was awesome. So there you go. Story time. Back to it. It was romantic. Yeah, she Wilder.
I'm making a beverage.
Beverage.
We have a Dutch tilt going on right now. Does that bother you guys? Are you guys okay with it?
Okay, big dog. I will. I'll keep an eye out too. Halloween wine. Big dog. Anybody else? One of our traditions was that after the show, we would always have a big feed. Everybody, we would bring pots, we would eat together. And two of Alan's partners, Bob and Scott, are brewmasters. They make homebrew, and it is delicious. And so they bring some of their homebrew.
Puppet Master was on earlier.
Was he?
He was.
I didn't see Puppet Master on. Okay, well they're just fantastic beer makers. And but we would also find a Halloween wine, one for every week. So Saturday night when we closed, you get to open a bottle of red wine. And a lot of times, guys, it was terrible. Great label. What an awesome looking Halloween label. Terrible one. For the most part, a lot of times it was really good. So I haven't really done Halloween wine in a while. What happened?
Horace, you keep talking.
Well, okay.
Horace. Horace.
Come
here, buddy.
Can't see him. What you got, buddy? You got a bowl. Anyway, big dog, I'll do it for you. I'll see if I can find it out. Look at this girl. Look at her. Look at this girl.
Let that dog go. Okay.
The belly. The belly.
I interrupted you with dog stuff, honey. I'm sorry.
I was talking about wine and dogs, so I'm pretty happy. All right, I gotta catch up.
Alexa, add cocoa butter Vaseline to my shopping list.
Oh, Lord.
Cocoa butter Vaseline ever.
Chad says, I started watching What We Do in the Shadows. Hilarious. And I thought it was
Yeah, it's fun.
Science is actually studying the phenomenon of temporary displacement, micro wormholes that bend time and space that we see as apparition or mirage of time.
Who said that?
That was nice meeting. Rodney says that font was so cool. Rodney, did you see our black and white show?
Oh, he was at Dark Hour when Paradise Monstrum was there.
Okay, I love that. And we would do a night swap and everybody would get to see each other's show. It was the best. Let's see. Okay, yeah, big dog, let's keep an eye out for Halloween wine. What's going on here?
What do you mean by Halloween wine?
Well, I was just saying that around Halloween, places have, it's red wine with, a great Halloween label.
Oh, is it called Halloween wine?
No, it's just not what I'm talking about. Stanley, that using coffee or tea, is there another way to grind up a swashbuckler sugar?
Yeah, I use spray paint actually. That's what I normally do. Spray paint, you can mist it with alcohol. Try a different fabric first to get a feel for the technique. Mist it with alcohol and then spray paint. Because the spray paint is going to be diffused a bit in the alcohol the same way like pea staining would do.
Native says the fact that you knew what a Dutch was.
This is my job. Well, you know what? But I know a lot of stuff. It's scarier if you can cant it that way. It's not uncommon for me to put a tilt on the windows and stuff that we build at Dark Hour. Build them a little bit tilted so it makes the people feel like they're unbalanced. They're looking at something that is angled, but buildings are straight so much you make them not trust themselves, and then they're easier to scare. I think Finn was talking the other day about the anti-feng shui. That's part of it. I still do that.
Chad says, son is not have a cold tasty beverage in the dino city in front of me. Let's do this.
Dino it up, sir. Dino it up.
Big Dog says, damn it, Rod, you turned him on to the cocoa putter.
Smells good. Smells better than regular Vaseline.
Scott Craig, Zombie Zinfandel was pretty good. It wasn't, it was a red Zinfandel, a proper Zinfandel. It was pretty good.
Werewolf wine. Terrible.
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 Vampire wine.
Terrible.
Terrible.
But Phantom from Bogle Vineyard,
Oh my God.
that's a really good wine.
Delicious. Do you use a Pepper's Ghost at dark hour?
Yes. And I've got a Pepper's Ghost video coming up here really soon for YouTube Wednesday.
The Design Master brown stain paint is what flew off the airbrake table sideways.
Yes, it was.
Prison wine count as Halloween. No, not for me, Plastic Ninja. There's so many of them, and a lot of them are just kind of.
Cashing in, kids.
They're delicious, but you know they've got a great label, and I will absolutely give them a try. But not the prison or the serial killer wines for me. I just like the Halloween wines. She's gone. This time.
Yeah, I see her.
They should see it.
So this has been Vaseline. I have some pry points on here. This has been Vaseline, also very important. But my wife wants you to see my dog. That is belly up to the world. Bella. Bella. We're getting a tail wag. That's all the effort she's going to put into this.
What do you get, guys?
Cheney was afraid that she was getting attention, so he came over.
Okay, so, Alan's videos on reverse feng shui are the best. You guys really need to back and watch those videos. Scott,
Yeah.
any Nightmares related videos coming up?
Yes, soon.
Plastic Ninja prison wine is just wine that inmates make in a toilet out of fermented. Oh!
Delicious.
Okay. Well, Plastic Ninja, you and I were thinking of two different things. But no, on both counts. Caitlin Longberry, talk about prison wine. My uncle was a chef at a prison, and he would have to wash out the sugar bags because inmates would steal them to make hooch. Hooch!
And now we mix up some plastic.
Chad says I bought a bottle of the Walking Dead wine. I never opened it. I just like the full bottle. Plastic Ninja says you want to talk about creativity. Google prison shanks. It's amazing what people can do with nothing.
Yes, I once went on to a prison as a young man. I guess it was like a scared straight program, but not like we were in trouble. It was just, you know, hey, here you go. You're what we call an at-risk youth. Enjoy this tour of a prison.
You and that was-
I was an at-risk youth, yes. I wasn't doing anything risky, but Okay.
Okay, I'm puzzled again. When you sculpt, don't you have to wait for the clay to dry before you plaster over it? Not as a stock wall, but the back wall, that part of it?
No. The clay can be actually really moist when you plaster it. Alexa, count down 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
All three. Plastic balls.
They love plastic bottles. I don't see them ever eating it, so I'm okay with it. Okay. And once again, I might do this at I might start mixing before 2 minutes simply because I don't have a lot of time.
Where's my box?
Yes, and this will be my last chunk of the mold, and then I'll stop till tomorrow.
Good night, Courtney. Courtney, enjoy your pictures of your walks at sunrise. Really beautiful. Guys, guys make so much noise.
Now there's a fool such as I over here. Mixing up the plaster. Are my notifications off because I'm getting a lot of messages while this is going? Alexa, stop. I can actually only assume that they're off because you would have heard it. Just had to double check my mold math and make sure that roll was right. You normally don't want to do that after your plaster is mixed. That should have had a pry point. That little bit of plaster that's on there right now, not going to be a big deal. What's the hard part is that it's already Vaseline and it won't want to stick well, but it did.
the monster feet done and how did they turn?
Are you talking to me, Stanley? I've made several pair of monster feet already. From the one I sculpted that Wednesday.
And yes, it's talking.
Yeah, they turned out great.
Diving helmet orders on Wednesday, do what it is, and first I'm voting for the giant snapping turtle.
The snapping turtle will be on this Wednesday's list, and a couple other things will be on this Wednesday's list.
Ordered some pumpkin teeth, and thanks for the info the other day, says Steven Simcoe.
No problem.
I'm sculpting an oversized slug for a friend's photo shoot. I've been working at it for 3 hours and I can't get it right. Simple things are hard for me.
Simple stuff is kind of hard.
It's warm.
You kind of have to trust that when you paint it, it'll look like a slug sometimes.
Every time I learn stuff, but today it feels like a master class. So many techniques and tricks are being discussed.
Well,
Cat swimming.
that's because it's hard, and I have to kind of talk through it. But any time that you guys have questions about the process, this is just something that I don't think you guys have seen from me before. So maybe I'm explaining a little bit more. You know, and sometimes I think that maybe you guys just, you know, how many of y'all don't know the recipe for latex mask paint? I think I say it every video. This being a multiple part mold is something that I can explain to you that you maybe haven't seen.
His doc says, no, you're spot on and great detail. Now Rob and Jamie both went 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
That's right.
His doc says, Rob beat me here.
I did have someone message me the other day, and they were like, listen, on the mask paint, I know that the recipe is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, but how do I get it to be the right color? And he was saying 1/3 latex paint from Home Depot, 1/3 acrylic paint, and 1/3 distilled water. He didn't have any latex in it. I'm like, well, whatever color paint you're using is the color it's going to be. And then, you know, I just had to explain.
Dan says, no, even this meeting knows it. This person says it runs from latex on the skin. With your paint recipe, use your paint recipe the same way that it.
Yep.
Universal tint helps to color latex paint also.
Ed Edmonds taught it to me. I don't use universal tint. I use latex house paint from Home Depot, interior flat. I do not use universal tint.
Maybe in your YouTube Wednesday, you can include the formula in the credits as well as some of the suppliers you use for that particular demonstration.
I do. If you will look at the video description, I pretty often do that. And I'll need one more batch.
Same as Ed's formula, but you can also add tint to achieve color. The same tint the paint store makes the latex paint with.
I suppose that is possible. I don't do that, so I'm careful not to recommend things that I do not actively do myself. I use the paint itself as the coloring, and that works very well for me.
After pricing all the materials, I'd rather be 100% sure before I do it. That's why I sit and listen more than engaging in talks.
Nothing is wrong with that. I'm just getting more water, guys, to mix up more plaster. Ugh. They love tearing apart these bottles.
Vera says, Transformation Tuesday. Please say that is going to be a thing.
Maybe down the road. Right now, I have time for YouTube Wednesday, and I don't know if I have time for also Transformation Tuesday. It will be a thing down the road. Right now, I'm only doing one official produced video a week. We'll see what happens as COVID changes my life further.
Leather stain.
I do.
Big dog, black is still black when it dries. Don't worry, Stanley. If you make it, it'll look off, but it will dry spot on. Cat Swift says, in one of Mr. Edmonds' videos, he said you can vary the amount of water depending on the type of airbrush you're using. He had a giant airbrush.
Yep, you can. I learned the recipe from Ed Edmonds about 20 years ago.
1980 was hoping for a ladies' night Tuesdays with Shannon, Amber, and Stacy.
They can do it while I kick back on the couch. Okay.
Here's what this is. Wow, 20 years has it been that long?
Yes, it has. Is that Chris Russell?
Yes.
Yeah.
20 years since last.
Well, that's when I learned the recipe from Ed. But Chris Russell has been around the block too. He is a monster maker from way back. Twisted Toy Box is Chris's company. If you guys want to look him up, he makes some awesome stuff. Okay. I'm kind of a little bit focused. I'm on the last bit of this chunk of mold. And tomorrow I will finish the last piece of mold for tonight. You just brush out before it dies. Okay. I'm actually kind of glad that I broke this mold up into a couple smaller pieces, simply because with the plaster kicking faster like it is, not a bad idea to do slightly smaller mold sections. And I knew this was going to be a 3-piece mold because of the shape of it with this hole in it, and with having to go around this piece on the back end. I knew it was going to be a 3-piece mold, and I decided to make it a 4-piece mold after my first mold wall was canted a little bit, meaning that those two halves could not separate cleanly apart.
What stone are you using? And did you ever try to add Portland cement to number one pottery plaster like I was telling you that's Chris Russell?
I haven't yet. This is Ultra Cal 30, but it is a old batch of Ultra Cal 30. This is kicking in under 10 minutes. I set a timer when I was mixing a batch a while ago, and I set the timer for 15 minutes, and it was hard in 11.
Gregory Haynes, this is a true monster mold. It's a monster of molds. So
That it is. And large. Yeah, there are times in molding when you have to be technically correct. Stone will not bend, it will not flex, and that is what is going to give you problems.
Chris Russell said that it's going to be heavy when it's full of rubber.
It's actually not that thick, but yes, it will.
Isaac Daly says Alan shows you how to build your dreams, and Stacy will keep you in sticks.
Hooray!
Big Dog is okay. Just looking at your website, very nice work. I'll take the time to look at it better to say that to Chris Russell.
Oh, Chris does great work. There was a point where I had been on YouTube maybe a year or two, and Chris Russell and Justin Mulberry, I think we all talked on the FX Lab, or one of those old groups that, pre-Facebook, you had groups. And Justin and Chris came up to the booth and said, "Hey man, we like your videos." And I'm like, "You guys know what you're doing. Why do you watch my videos?" But yeah, they've been at it a while. Chris's work is very good.
David Yardman says Ultra Cal 10.
Yeah, this is Ultra Cal 10. You ain't lying.
Chris Russell says thanks, man, because I'm a nerd.
And now it's at least 10 years from that moment, and here's Chris hanging out watching videos. I mean, Justin didn't even have Trick or Treat Studios by then, at that point in time.
Chiming in with mermaids again, I find them kind of horrific when they look normal and then suddenly hiss fangs.
Transforming mermaids. I think Mermaid Tail is going to end up on the Wednesday list at some point. Okay, so this is on, and I'm getting it smooth. Got one little dent here to fill in that dent. And now I'm just going to buff it a bit with my hand. I kind of lost where my mold line is up here. I don't know exactly where that stops, so what do you do? Just going to smooth it all out, and then when we crack it, we'll figure it out. But this is already hard, so yeah, this plaster does not mess around. I don't mind it. I kind of like it because I like to work fast.
Big Dog says, people like Alan and Chris are the reason I want to make more stuff, not to sell, but just for myself.
You know what? There's something very cool about having a monster in your head, or maybe it's your favorite thing that you saw. Maybe you saw a monster in a movie or a TV show, and you want to make that thing. I'm doing the He-Man stuff right now because I can't go out and buy it. You know, no one else is making Beastman and Merman masks, and I want those. So there's something cool about taking something that is an idea and intangible and running raw materials through a process and coming out with something that is tangible and that is real and that others can see. It's the only way that other people can see your thoughts. And I think there's something very cool about that. Okay, this is a hard mold. There's my pry point. Right here is a pry point. Right there is a pry point.
Big Dog says, still is what I lack, but I know I have. I can only do better. TJ Riley says, thank you for doing tutorials.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Thank COVID. Truthfully, I had the time at home. And we started very early on. I was doing live videos every week, but I wasn't doing the YouTube Wednesdays. And I was able to start doing them. When I started the Dark Hour 7 years ago, it just took all my time. We were doing a different show. We were doing 8 shows a year. So that's a whole new show build out. And so that whole first year, we were making everything for the shows. And there was no time. Then the second year, I was out of the habit for a year. And, you know, things just eat your time. And 7 years later, I got back on the horse and I'm making YouTube Wednesday videos again.
Alan, did you see cobweb blocks? Pretty much sharp about this article.
I grabbed them. I saved the video to watch tonight. I don't consume a lot of media when right when it comes out, but I will end up watching it soon. I hear a lot of good things, and I have faith it's going to be a great video. When I was doing the dungeons for Ren Fairs, I did a lot of stylized resin locks in a similar manner, I believe. This little bit of clay, I'm just going to leave up. Right now, I'm going to add 2 pry points right here. Well, 1 pry point right there for that.
How do you get all the hard plaster out of the bucket?
The buckets are a little bit flexible. Again, the stone is not. So I just get the bucket of flex and normally it cracks out. Always square off the end of your pry point, because when you hit that with a hammer, that if it's pointed, it'll send that energy kind of straight down here, and it could chip out this corner of your mold.
Joseph Creations, hello.
Hello, Joseph Creations.
Seth Treadwell, you did a set design a while back on stone walls. Can you use Loctite foam with a water bottle to make 3D stones. I need to do a 3-inch round plaque. How many can I do? How many can I do it like the skulls?
Yeah, you can do it like the skulls, absolutely. I would spray the water down first. Well, if you want to put it on wood, then put the foam right on the wood, and don't spray water on the wood. Yeah, spray water on the wood. Mist the wood with water. Put your foam down. Mist the top of the foam, spray foam with a sheet with water. Mist the top of that with water. Put a plastic sheet over it, and then I would use something like a plastic trowel to press your brick edges in. That should work just fine. I've done very similar.
Where did you get your mixing bowls?
Walmart. These are 6-quart bowls from Walmart, and they are $1.36. I used to buy the 5-quart buckets from Home Depot for $4 a piece. No, Walmart. Corporate America scum, great prices. Grrr.
Alan, I saw your dungeon work in Phoenix. I loved it. I remember there was like a hanging cage and iron-made dummies and stuff.
Yes, we did a couple of those. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. I shouldn't do that. Another haunter, he did the one at King George's Fair, and he actually did an article on it in Fright Times magazine. And I'm just having an old person moment where I can't remember his name, but I know him, friends with him. But anyway, and from that article, I'm like, you know what, that's a good idea. So we did a little bit of that. And that was really the only other rent fair work I had done before coming to Texas. And then I redid one at Scarborough, and that was very involved. And that was I didn't like that. It was just dark, you know, studying torture all the time. It's not fun. And then I had all these books on torture devices, and I gave them away because I didn't want them. Did not like the energy.
How much longer do you need to do that?
I am going to pledge this, and then we're going to cover it.
How many minutes?
5. Now, I pledged the clay. I'm not going to do the Vaseline right now, but I'm going to put that right there so I remember I didn't do the Vaseline.
Rodney Pope says, I can't wait until September 18th.
Me either. It's my sister's birthday. I got to call her and tell her she's old. It's also Monster Camp. Also Monster Camp. I know that too.
Monster Camp and his daughter. Rodney and his daughter.
Yeah, you got the family coming.
Chris says, I'm bored. I need to come up and do a sculpture together.
Heck yeah, come on. You're up north. Iowa? Is that where you at? Illinois? Indiana? I-State? Is that right? Okay. So, gang, we mostly molded a werewolf foot. I got a little bit of a later start than I wanted to because I forgot another video was happening. But
Chris says, I'm back in Mississippi now.
Oh.
I have 10 years as an FX director of a theme park, but I'm done there now.
gotcha. There was like Silver Spring or something like that park that you were at. Silver Cedar Spring. I don't know, but awesome. Cool. Yeah, maybe we can work that out. That'd be fun. Anyway, werewolf foot tonight. We got that done. That's all we worked on. And we talked a lot. You guys were awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Wife, why don't you say good night?
Good night.
And I say good night. And Dogs are chasing each other while biting each other's back leg. That's always fun. Going in a circle and biting each other's back legs. Good times. I say good night. I also say, go make stuff.